What if beauty was power? Not muscle, not claws, just beauty. On this planet, there are creatures that don't roar. They don't stalk, strike, or tear their way to the top. They don't have to. They win us over. With feathers, with shimmer, with silence. From the rain-drenched jungles of Southeast Asia to the snow-blasted cliffs of the Himalayas. From the cloud forests of South America to the ancient groves of the Pacific. There are birds so stunning, so unreal, you'd think they were imagined. Their feathers flash like fire. Their calls echo like songs from a forgotten world. And when they move, it's like watching the wind take form. But in the wild, beauty is never just for show. It's armor. It's language. It's a message passed down through millions of years. Number 30, the crested argus. What if I told you there's a bird so extravagant, so massive, that it looks like it walked out of a fantasy novel? You probably wouldn't expect it to be hiding deep in the rainforests of Southeast Asia. Meet the crested argus, native to the remote mountains of Vietnam, Laos, and Malaysia. This elusive giant is one of the most visually stunning and mysterious pheasants on Earth. Unlike its flamboyant cousin, the peacock, the crested argus trades iridescence for something even more mesmerizing. A tail that stretches over 6 feet long, patterned with hundreds of perfectly round, eye-like spots. Each one looks like a miniature painting, evolving over generations not for camouflage, but for courtship. The male performs a ritual, stretching his wings, lifting his tail like a veil, and creating a living tapestry right in front of the female. Scientists believe the precision of these eye spots helps females judge the genetic fitness of a mate, a process that's been happening quietly for thousands of years, far away from human eyes. And here's the catch. Despite being one of the largest and most spectacular flying birds on the planet, almost no one has ever seen it in the wild. The crested argus is so shy, so rare, that it's been nicknamed the ghost of the forest. Even experienced researchers spend years without catching a single glimpse. It doesn't scream for attention, it whispers. And in that whisper lies one of nature's greatest treasures. But while the crested argus dominates with size and grandeur, the next bird on our list takes an entirely different approach. It's smaller, quieter, but when the forest lights hit just right, it glows like living fire. Number 29. Temminck's tragopan. What if you stumbled upon a bird that looked like it had been hand-painted by a god? Not photoshopped, not CGI, but 100% real, and hiding in the mountains of Asia. This is Temminck's tragopan, also known as the firebird of the forest. You think nature doesn't do neon? Think again. This medium-sized pheasant, native to the Himalayan foothills, from northern India to southwest China, is the living proof that the wild can outshine any fashion show. The male's plumage is like a sunset on steroids. Fiery reds, deep oranges, polka-dotted whites, and a surreal electric blue face. And when mating season hits, he takes things to the next level. He inflates a bib-like wattle under his neck, bright red and blue, then raises 2 horn-like skin projections above his eyes. Yes, horns. And then he dances, he struts, he vibrates, he lowers his wings and fans his tail. It's like a cross between a runway model and a fire ritual. And the ladies, they love it, but they're picky. Only the males with the best colors, the smoothest dances, and the strongest displays get chosen. It's survival of the flashiest. But here's what most people don't know. Temminck's tragopan may look bold, but in the wild, it's painfully shy. It spends most of its time quietly foraging on the forest floor, hidden by thick brush. Spotting one in the wild is a rare privilege, and even researchers consider it a ghost of the hills. It's the kind of bird that disappears the moment you blink, leaving you wondering if it was ever there at all. And yet, in the stillness of those mountain forests, it thrives, a living ember burning in green shadows. So we've seen elegance in motion, color with attitude. But the next bird, it's got a reputation. A name whispered by birdwatchers like a secret spell. A bird so rare, it was once thought to be extinct. Number 28, Blyth's tragopan. Have you ever heard of a bird that went missing for decades, then suddenly reappeared, like a myth come to life? This isn't folklore. This is Blyth's tragopan. Named after British zoologist Edward Blyth, this rare and reclusive pheasant haunts the cool, mossy forests of Bhutan, northeast India, and Myanmar. At first glance, it might remind you of its cousin, Temminck's tragopan, but there's something wilder, darker, almost ancient about Blyth's. Its plumage is a blend of ember and rust, sprinkled with white eye spots like tiny stardust scattered across fire. But it's the head that steals the show. A deep, sapphire face, surrounded by velvet black feathers, like a ceremonial mask from a forgotten kingdom. For decades, sightings were so rare that some believed the species might be extinct. Then, in the early 2000s, camera traps and a few lucky researchers began catching glimpses again. And just like that, the ghost came back. But even now, it remains one of the least understood tragopans. It lives in steep, remote, and rugged terrain, areas barely touched by humans. Males, like their cousins, put on a brief but intense mating show, inflating colorful bibs and raising horn-like blue projections above their heads. But blink, and they vanish. In a world filled with noise and overexposure, Blyth's tragopan is a quiet reminder. Not everything beautiful wants to be seen. Some creatures are meant to be kept in shadows. But the next bird, it doesn't do shadows. It doesn't hide. In fact, it shines like a royal gem fluttering through the jungle. Number 27. Edward's pheasant. Some birds are legends. Not because of what we know about them, but because of what we don't. This is a bird that disappeared for nearly 80 years and was only rediscovered thanks to a camera trap and a lot of luck. Meet the almost mythical Edward's pheasant. Native to the Annamite mountain forests of central Vietnam, Edward's pheasant is the definition of elusive beauty. Its plumage is like oil on water, deep midnight blue with an almost metallic shimmer. In the right light, it doesn't just reflect color, it glows. But don't let its elegance fool you. This bird is a survivor. For decades, no one could find a living specimen. From the 1940s until the early 2000s, it was presumed extinct. Then, one blurry photo, a flutter in the undergrowth, and suddenly, hope returned. Today, Edward's pheasant is considered critically endangered, with possibly fewer than 50 individuals left in the wild. Its forest home has been ravaged by deforestation, hunting, and war. Imagine being one of the most beautiful birds on Earth and having no one left to see you. But conservationists haven't given up. Captive breeding programs are underway, forest restoration is happening, and deep in the mountains, the last Edwards still walk in silence. They are more than just birds. They are symbols of fragility, of resilience, and of the price of beauty in a noisy, changing world. From the fading blues of Vietnam, we now head into a realm of crimson, gold, and royal flair. A bird that lives like a prince and looks like it was designed by a Renaissance painter. Number 26. Salvadori's pheasant. In a land where volcanoes meet ancient rainforest, lives a bird that few humans have ever laid eyes on. If you had to design royalty in bird form, this would be it. Meet Salvadori's pheasant, a striking, almost otherworldly species found only in the remote highlands of Sumatra. It wears a tuxedo of glossy black, with a pure snow-white tail flowing like a silk banner behind it. And that face, those bright crimson facial wattles, almost seem painted on. This bird doesn't just walk, it glides like a nobleman through the forest. Named after Italian zoologist Tommaso Salvadori, this pheasant has rarely been seen in the wild. In fact, even in ornithological circles, it's something of a mystery. It's so rarely photographed that most images you'll find are of captive individuals. Why? Because it lives in rugged, misty highland terrain, areas that are difficult to reach and even harder to study. Habitat loss from logging and agriculture continues to push the Salvadorese pheasant into smaller, more fragmented pockets of forest. And though it's not as critically endangered as some of its cousins, its future is anything but secure. Like many pheasants, the male courts females through a subtle performance. Tail flicks, head dips, and low murmurs that barely break the forest silence. He doesn't scream for attention. He doesn't need to. His elegance speaks volumes. In a world obsessed with loudness, Salvadorese pheasant reminds us that grace and quiet majesty still exist, even if only a few are lucky enough to witness them. From the cool mountains of Sumatra, we now descend into a flash of color from a completely different world. A bird so rare and vibrant you'd think it was created by a jungle spirit itself. Number 25. Gurney's Pitta. What if I told you that one of the world's most beautiful birds disappeared for over 40 years, and when it came back, no one could believe their eyes? This is Gurney's Pitta, a bird once thought extinct, a bird so colorful, so surreal, it looks like it stepped out of a dream. With a jet-black hood, a lemon-yellow chest, and sky-blue highlights that shimmer in the dappled forest light, Gurney's Pitta is a living jewel of Southeast Asia. It's like someone squeezed a tropical sunrise into a bird's body. First discovered in the 19th century by naturalist J. H. Gurney, it became one of ornithology's great heartbreaks. After the 1950s, silence. No confirmed sightings for decades. Many believed it was lost forever. Then, in 1986, a miracle. In the dense forests of southern Thailand, a tiny flash of yellow changed everything. A living male was rediscovered, and suddenly this lost bird was back. But its return came with a warning. The lowland forests that Gurney's Pitta depends on, they're disappearing, fast, cleared for agriculture, plantations, development, and this bird is picky. It doesn't live high in the mountains. It doesn't do well in cities. It needs shady, dense understory, and it needs quiet. Today, fewer than a few hundred Gurney's Pittas may remain in the wild, mostly in Myanmar, in scattered, shrinking fragments of forest. Conservationists are racing the clock, trying to protect what's left before this rare beauty disappears again. This time, maybe for good. Some creatures vanish with a bang, others with a whisper. Gurney's Pitta walks the edge between both, a reminder of how close wonder and loss really are. But don't blink, because next up is a bird that doesn't hide in the shadows. It's bold, it's brilliant, and it sparkles like royalty on the wing. Number 24. Empress Brilliant. Some birds wear crowns, others are the crown. And when she enters the forest clearing, everything else just fades. Introducing the Empress Brilliant. A name that doesn't exaggerate, it delivers. Let's start with the basics. She's a hummingbird. Yes, one of the smallest birds on Earth, but also one of the most dazzling. The female is graceful and reserved, but the male looks like he was dipped in green fire. His throat shines with an intense violet lavender, his back a shimmering emerald, and those twin ribbon-like tail feathers trail behind like silk in the wind. Native to the misty Andean cloud forests of Colombia and Ecuador, the Empress Brilliant lives high, often over 2,000 meters above sea level, where orchids bloom and waterfalls whisper through the trees. Here, in this ethereal world, he performs his courtship dance. He hovers, he darts side to side, he flares his throat like a living gemstone. A silent light show for the female perched nearby. No sound, no song, just color and motion, and if he's lucky, her approval. But beauty like this is fragile. These hummingbirds rely on specific flowers for nectar, and the cloud forest is under pressure. Climate change, farming, habitat loss. It's a delicate ecosystem, and the Empress is one of its most vulnerable jewels. The Empress Brilliant doesn't shout. She doesn't need to. She simply exists. A flash of light among leaves, a heartbeat of wonder in the canopy. And now, from emerald and violet flashes in South America, we zip across the sky to meet a bird so bold, so outrageously colorful, that even in a jungle full of rainbows, it still steals the show. Number 23. Plum-throated cotinga. What happens when the rainforest decides to paint with pure color? You get a bird so electric it looks like it was airbrushed by fantasy itself. Say hello to the plum-throated cotinga, a South American stunner with zero interest in blending in. He looks unreal, doesn't he? Like someone spilled a bottle of blue neon ink and added a drop of royal wine for good measure. This cotinga lives across the Amazon basin, from Venezuela and Colombia to Peru and Brazil. But despite the explosion of color, he's surprisingly silent. That's right, no dramatic song, no fluty melodies, just stillness. Because when you're this beautiful, you don't need to shout. Plum-throated cotingas feed mostly on fruit. They're frugivores, which means their lives revolve around figs, berries, and jungle delicacies. And they do it in style. High up in the canopy, they glide from tree to tree, their colors pulsing against the green like flying jewels. The female is more modest, gray-brown, soft, camouflaged. But even she carries that unmistakable cotinga charm. Now, here's the twist. This species is not endangered, yet. But it's home. That's another story. The Amazon rainforest loses over 1 million acres each year. And when the trees go, so do the branches where cotinga males pose in sunlight like living art. So, while this bird isn't on any emergency list, its future depends entirely on the forest staying intact, on the balance of sun, leaves, rain, and color. The plum-throated cotinga isn't a loud voice in the jungle. It's a quiet burst of magic, reminding us that not all power comes from sound. Sometimes it shines. But hold on tight, because coming up is a bird so fiery, so iridescent, it looks like the throat of a volcano, turned into feathers. Number 22. Fiery-throated hummingbird. If a gemstone came to life, if a solar flare had feathers, you'd still fall short of this bird. This isn't just a hummingbird. This is a firestorm with wings. Meet the fiery-throated hummingbird. A bird so radiant it doesn't reflect color. It sets it off like fireworks. From some angles, you see jade. Shift slightly. Suddenly it's ruby. Tilt again. Boom. Lava gold. It's not just color. It's a moving kaleidoscope. These dazzling birds live in the cloud forests of Costa Rica and western Panama, usually at elevations between 2,000 and 3,500 meters. Here, in the cold, misty highlands, they flit between flowers, sipping nectar faster than the eye can follow. Their heart beats over 1,200 times a minute. They breathe 250 times a minute. And their wings. They blur at 80 beats per second. That's not a typo. This bird literally lives at the edge of physics. And they're feisty. Fiery-throated hummingbirds are highly territorial, fiercely guarding their favorite nectar spots with aerial dogfights worthy of Top Gun. Males will hover and flare their shimmering gorget, their throat patch, as a warning, a flex, and a spectacle. It's part beauty, part battle cry. But don't be fooled by all the glitz. Life in the cloud forest isn't easy. Cold nights, sudden storms, energy demand so high they sometimes enter torpor, a kind of emergency sleep mode just to survive until morning. To shine like this takes fuel. It takes risk. It takes everything. And that's the real fire. Not just the feathers, but the will to burn this brightly every single day. But hold tight, because next up is a bird so charming, so playful. It's known as the turquoise honey creeper, a sugar-sipping, sky-blue showstopper. Number 21. Blue Dacnus. Imagine if the sky turned into a bird, just for a moment, to visit the trees. That's the blue dacnus, a flash of turquoise that disappears just as fast as it appears. This isn't a fantasy. It's real. It's tiny, barely 12 centimeters long, and it's dazzling. The males are stunning. Turquoise from head to tail with a sleek black mask and wing accents, like a tiny superhero in feathers. The females, no less charming. They wear emerald green, soft and delicate, like the forest wrapped around them. The blue dacnus lives in the lowland forests of Central and South America, from Panama all the way down to northern Argentina. It thrives in the treetops, fluttering between fruiting branches and nectar-rich blossoms. And yes, like its nickname says, it's a honey creeper, meaning nectar is life. With a slender, curved bill, it sips from flowers, sometimes even hovering like a hummingbird. But it doesn't just drink sugar water. This bird's also a berry thief and an insect snatcher. A tiny multitasker in a sky blue suit, and it doesn't like to be alone. These birds often travel in small mixed flocks, zipping around with tanagers and warblers, like a feathered flash mob. They may be small, but when you spot one in the sunlight, it's unforgettable. Because in a forest full of green, a splash of blue this bright feels like a miracle. They don't sing epic songs. They don't build palaces of sticks. They don't need to. The blue dacnus is beauty through simplicity, a reminder that nature doesn't always roar. Sometimes it glows. And speaking of glow, get ready to meet a bird with colors so intense its throat looks like it's been set on fire. Again, number 20, white-eared pheasant. Some birds flash color. Others glide like ghosts. And this one? It walks the snow like a legend wrapped in silk. Meet the white-eared pheasant. A bird so elegant it looks like it wandered out of a Chinese ink painting. Locals call it snow phoenix, and it's easy to see why. This bird isn't just rare, it's regal. Native to the high-altitude forests and alpine meadows of Tibet, Qinghai, and Sichuan, the white-eared pheasant lives where few other birds dare, between 3,000 and 4,500 meters above sea level. That's higher than many peaks in the Rockies. That's where oxygen is thin, winds are brutal, and yet this bird thrives. How? By being tough and staying together. These pheasants are surprisingly social. They move in flocks, sometimes 20, 30, even 100 strong, and they glide through the snow like whispering monks. They feed on roots, berries, shoots, and seeds. And when winter deepens, they dig under the snow with their feet, like feathered snowplows. Their feathers aren't just for show. They're dense, warm, built for survival. Because up here, looking pretty doesn't matter unless you can endure the cold. But they are beautiful, not in a flashy way, but in that quiet, dignified way that feels timeless. Like if silence could take wing, this would be the sound. They're not endangered, but their highland habitat is slowly changing. From climate shifts, human expansion, and grazing pressure. And yet, they remain, unbothered, unhurried, untamed. From the frost-lined ridges of China, we head now to another mountain kingdom, where sapphire and steel feathers collide in one of the most breathtaking pheasants you've never heard of. Number 19, Mikado pheasant. In a world of birds, some whisper beauty, and some carry it like a secret through the fog. This one? He's the Shadow King of the Highlands. Meet the Mikado pheasant, Taiwan's national bird and undisputed emperor of the forest floor. The name Mikado means emperor in Japanese, and just one look at him, you get it. He doesn't strut, he doesn't sing, he just is. Found only in the central highlands of Taiwan, the Mikado pheasant lives in quiet, cool mountain forests, usually at altitudes above 2,000 meters. Remote, foggy, sacred, and that's exactly how he likes it. He's not rare because he's disappearing. He's rare because he chooses to be. This bird is elusive. So elusive, in fact, that for decades it was called the Phantom of the Forest. Even today, many locals consider spotting one a sign of good fortune. The males are jaw-dropping, coated in deep indigo that shimmers like polished obsidian. And their tail? It can grow up to 28 inches long, ringed with silver-gray stripes, like calligraphy in motion. The females are quieter in color, brown, patterned, watchful, but no less regal. Mikado pheasants are ground birds. They rarely fly unless startled, and even then, just enough to vanish into the mist. They feed on shoots, leaves, berries, insects, whatever the mountain gives, and they live slowly, deliberately, with ancient rhythm. In a forest that never hurries, neither does its king. They were once hunted heavily, but strict protection turned things around. Today, they're thriving in protected areas. Still shy, still silent, but still here. The Mikado pheasant doesn't need noise or neon. Its power lies in presence, in being exactly where it belongs. And now, from Taiwan's misty peaks, we descend to a forest where colors crackle like firelight, and one pheasant struts in robes of midnight, sapphire, and storm. Number 18, Swinhoe's pheasant. Imagine a prince cloaked in midnight and sapphire, a ghost in the trees, quiet, commanding, unforgettable. This is Swinhoe's pheasant, Taiwan's own feathered monarch. Named after the British naturalist Robert Swinhoe, this bird is found only in the lush mountain forests of Taiwan. But you'll need luck and patience to spot him. He doesn't live in gardens or open fields. He rules the shadows, dense bamboo groves, mist-draped coniferous woods, anywhere between 500 and 2,000 meters above sea level. And when he steps into view, he doesn't strut. He glides. With a coat of shimmering midnight blue, flashes of emerald and violet, and a brilliant white tail that trails behind him like a banner, he is elegance in motion. Every feather is polished like obsidian. Every movement, a display of quiet power. During breeding season, the male's performance becomes a ritual. He puffs up his chest, lowers his wings, fans out that snowy tail, and moves with slow, precise confidence. Not to threaten, to impress. While the male dazzles, the female plays a different role. She wears no jewels, only the forest. Brown, ash-gray, and perfectly camouflaged, she disappears into the undergrowth before you even realize she was there. Together, they are a study in balance. One bold, the other watchful. One dances in the light, the other guards the nest in silence. Swinhoe's pheasants forage on the forest floor, searching for seeds, berries, tender leaves, and insects. They move slowly, deliberately, their heads low, feet nimble, always listening. They can fly, but they rarely do. Their power lies not in flight, but in how completely they belong to the earth beneath them. Don't be fooled by the silence. Males will defend their territory fiercely, using wing slaps, sharp calls, and piercing stares. This is not just a showbird, it's a survivor, a creature of precision and instinct, built for a forest that rewards grace as much as strength. For years, Swinhoe's pheasants faced steep decline from logging, hunting, and habitat loss. But Taiwan acted, and today, thanks to conservation and protected forest zones, this species is stable, slowly reclaiming its place in the mountains. Beauty and resilience don't always clash. Sometimes they walk side by side, one feather at a time. And now, from the shadows of Taiwan's forests, we follow a path of silver light to meet a bird so pale, so luminous, it looks like moonlight stitched into feathers. Number 17, Elliott's pheasant, is next. In the remote mountain forests of southeastern China, where mist curls like breath through the trees, lives a bird that seems less like an animal and more like a legend. This is Elliott's pheasant, a silver phantom, a living echo of twilight. Named after the American zoologist Daniel Gerard Elliott, this bird is one of nature's most graceful enigmas. Not loud, not showy, but unforgettable in the quietest of ways. The male is draped in deep velvet black, crowned with a crest of soft, silver-white feathers that sweep back over his head like wind-sculpted snow. His tail, long and flowing, ripples behind him like moonlight cascading over water. Every movement is quiet, every detail perfect. The female wears the forest, earthy browns, mottled grays, and subtle bars. She's a master of stillness, a shape that disappears the moment you blink. These birds thrive in broadleaf and mixed forests, usually between 600 and 1,800 meters above sea level. They forage slowly across the forest floor, feeding on seeds, fallen leaves, insects, and tiny invertebrates. Delicate pieces of the forest's cycle, taken without disruption. But they're not easy to find. They don't call out often. They don't gather in large groups. They don't need to. They move like whispers between trees, shadows within shadows. Even seasoned researchers spend days without a glimpse. And when they do see one, it feels less like a sighting and more like a blessing. It's not just their appearance that sets them apart. It's their mystery, their silence, the way they carry the forest around them, like a secret they've sworn never to share. They remind us, not all beauty demands attention. Some of it prefers to remain hidden, and that's what makes it powerful. Though Elliott's pheasants were once threatened by habitat loss and hunting, conservation efforts across parts of China have helped their numbers stabilize. Still, their world is fragile, and so is their place within it. To protect them is to protect the silence of the forest, the pause between sound, the part of nature that only reveals itself to those who wait. And now, from silver and shadow, we rise toward a bird that shines with full force, a creature of strength, color, and command. Next, meet a pheasant that doesn't blend in. It leads. Number 16, the silver pheasant, is next. In the mountains of Southeast Asia, where mist clings to ridgelines and the forest breathes in silence, there walks a bird that doesn't hide. It commands. This is the silver pheasant, a creature of contrast. Black and white, grace and grit, elegance and power woven into one. The male is impossible to ignore. His body cloaked in glossy black, his sweeping tail gleaming pure white, etched with fine lines like brushstrokes in ink. His legs blaze crimson red, his face bare, bright, bold, like a warrior's mark. Every step is precise, every glance intentional. He doesn't run from the shadows. He walks through them like a general surveying his kingdom. The silver pheasant makes his home in mountain forests, across China, Vietnam, Laos, and Myanmar. He favors slopes wrapped in bamboo, where clouds touch the earth and the trees speak in wind. Here, between 600 and 2,000 meters above sea level, he thrives. He feeds on seeds, berries, insects, and anything else the mountain offers. But this isn't just a solitary soldier. He's also a partner, a mate, a father. He chooses one mate for the season, and when the chicks hatch, he helps guide them, one slow, steady step at a time, through a world that offers no second chances. The female is less showy, wrapped in olive brown tones, camouflaged and cautious, but never weak. She watches, guards, leads. Together, they raise their young not with noise, but with presence, with instinct, with strength passed down through generations. Silver pheasants are bold, especially the males. When challenged, they don't back down. They spread their wings, stamp the earth, and make their voices known. But when peace returns, so does their stillness, their silence, their dignity. This isn't just a bird with striking feathers. It's a creature with character, loyalty, discipline, pride. It is silver in form, but gold in spirit. And now, from these misty ridges, we move to a bird shaped by myth and mountain. Dark, wild, unapologetically elusive. Number 15, the Kalik pheasant, is next. In the shadowed forests of the Himalayas, where the air is cold and the light is thin, a bird moves like a secret. Low, fast, silent. This is the Kalik pheasant. Not flashy, not loud, but unforgettable in its mystery. Found from Nepal to northern India, across Bhutan, and deep into Myanmar, the Kalige pheasant doesn't just live in the wilderness. It's part of its rhythm. It doesn't decorate the forest. It belongs to it. The male is cloaked in dark metallic feathers, a shifting sheen of black, blue, and green. His face glows red like an ember hidden in shadow, and his white-tipped tail moves like a whisper through the undergrowth. The female wears the earth, soft browns, broken patterns, camouflaged so perfectly she can vanish at will. They prefer montane forests, usually between 1,200 and 2,500 meters, steep hills, dense thickets, bamboo groves, places where few humans go and even fewer linger. You might spot them near a remote village, foraging quietly along a trail, but blink and they're gone, like smoke in wind. They feed on whatever the forest offers: seeds, shoots, berries, roots, insects, and sometimes even a small lizard. They're survivors, pragmatic, unapologetic. When startled, they don't scream. They disappear. One sudden burst of wing beats and they're lost in the green. But there's more to this bird than meets the eye. The Kalige pheasant isn't one fixed identity. It's a whole family of forms. Across its vast range, it changes. In the west, it's jet black with a snowy white tail. In the east, it leans silver and slate. Every variation, a brushstroke from a different mountain. It's as if the forest repaints them to match its mood. This bird doesn't demand attention. It doesn't need to. It survives by knowing exactly when to appear and exactly when to vanish. It's a lesson in restraint, in resilience, in the kind of strength that never has to shout. And now, from shadows and silence, we rise into brilliance. To meet a bird that doesn't hide, it shines. Next, the emerald monarch of the jungle. Number 14, the green peafowl. What if royalty wasn't born in a palace, but deep in the jungle, where rivers glow gold at dawn and the trees part like curtains before a throne? This isn't your average peacock. This is the green peafowl, a living jewel, a myth with feathers, wilder than its Indian cousin, older, and, some say, even more magnificent. The green peafowl ranges across Southeast Asia, from the forests of Myanmar and Thailand to the wetlands of Laos, Vietnam, and parts of Indonesia. Where it walks, the jungle seems to bow, and where it stands, time seems to slow. The male is radiant, a metallic green neck, like molten emerald, a crown of upright feathers that sways with each movement, and a train, long, heavy, hypnotic, etched with glowing eyes that catch sunlight like stained glass. Unlike the familiar garden peacock, this bird lives far from manicured lawns. It chooses wild rivers, open woodlands, places where silence is broken only by wind or by the echo of its call. And when the breeding season comes, the forest becomes a stage. The male spreads his train wide, arching it into a shimmering fan, each feather catching light, shifting color. And from deep in his chest comes a call, not shrill, but haunting, a cry that carries for miles, through trees, over hills, across valleys. It's not just beauty, it's declaration, presence, power. But this bird is no delicate thing. It can be fiercely territorial. It can launch into the air with startling force, its wings wide, its train streaming like a royal cape. And when challenged, it doesn't retreat. It rises. Unlike the Indian peafowl, green peafowls are monogamous, and the female, though lacking a train, is every bit as regal. Her plumage glows in shades of bronze and jade, her gaze calm, steady, watchful. Once, these birds were common, symbols of kingship, keepers of myth, but habitat loss and hunting drove their numbers down, in some places, to the brink. Yet they are returning, slowly, quietly, with help and with hope. In some cultures, the green peafowl wards off evil. In others, it represents immortality. But in every case, it means something sacred. And when you see one in the wild, not behind a fence, not in a photo, but there, before you, moving like a spirit wrapped in light, you understand. Some creatures don't need legends, they are legends. And now, from emerald plains and sacred silence, we journey north, into misty Chinese mountains, to find a bird born from history and held in reverence. Number 13. Brown-eared pheasant. In the forests of northern China, where winter stretches for half the year and silence settles like snow, there walks a bird that feels older than the land beneath it. This is the brown-eared pheasant, a creature of history, a spirit from a forgotten dynasty. Endemic to the remote mountains of Shaanxi, Hebei, and the wild edges of Beijing, this bird doesn't just live in the forest, it haunts it. Its body is dark, almost solemn, its face feathered and crowned with long brown ear tufts that sway like ceremonial threads. But its most striking feature is its tail, a long, snowy plume that drifts behind it like the train of a robe. Not flashy, not loud, but commanding. The brown-eared pheasant doesn't dazzle you with color. It draws you in with presence, with stillness, with a gravity that feels sacred. Here, in forests above 1,000 meters, they forage among leaf litter and snowmelt, roots, acorns, berries, insects. Whatever the mountain gives, they take with care. And unlike many pheasants, the males and females look nearly the same, a quiet testament to their lifelong bond. They mate for life. They raise their chicks together, and when danger comes, they stand, not flee. In a world full of creatures built for performance, this one is built for permanence. There was a time when this species teetered on the edge, poached for its regal tail feathers, driven back by shrinking forests and shifting climates. But China acted, and slowly the brown-eared pheasant is returning. To see one is rare. To hear its call echo through snowy trees, a deep, hollow cry, like wind through an ancient bell, is to feel time slow down. It reminds us that not all beauty is bright, not all majesty is loud. Some of it moves softly through the trees, wrapped in age and layered with meaning. And now, from the pine-covered ridges of the north, we journey even higher, to wind-swept plateaus and sacred valleys, where the snow is deeper and another eared phantom rules the silence. Number 12. Tibetan eared pheasant. Above the tree line, where forests give way to rock and sky, and the wind speaks louder than any bird call, a pale figure moves across the snow. This is the Tibetan eared pheasant, a ghost of the plateau, a bird born of wind, stone, and silence. Found only in the high-altitude valleys and ridges of Tibet and western China, this pheasant is built for extremes. Not delicate, durable. Not decorative, divine in its own way. Its plumage is soft, smoke gray, tinged with ash and ivory. Its face, framed by sweeping white ear tufts, like the brushstrokes of an ancient scroll. And its eyes, dark, round, thoughtful, feel like they've seen 1,000 winters. It doesn't flash color. It doesn't need to. It carries a stillness so deep it feels almost holy. The Tibetan eared pheasant lives where few others do, above 3,000 meters. Among juniper groves, rocky outcrops, and windswept plateaus where oxygen thins and snow falls without warning. But here, it thrives. It forages in small groups, searching for roots, berries, and mountain insects. And when disturbed, it doesn't panic. It rises in a slow, heavy flight, like a curtain of ash caught in the wind. They're highly social, moving in flocks that stay tight through the coldest months. They don't just survive the plateau, they make it home. And like many creatures of this altitude, they've learned quiet strength. When food is scarce, they share. When storms arrive, they huddle. Their world is harsh, but they've turned it into harmony. Once, their range was larger, but as grazing expands and climate shifts, their ancient habitat grows narrower, and still they endure. To see a Tibetan eared pheasant in the wild is to witness stillness in motion, a reminder that even in the harshest places on earth, there is life, there is grace, there is mystery. And now we descend slightly, to a forest cloaked in cloud, where color returns in bold, impossible hues. Next, meet a pheasant with feathers like fire and thunder, number 11, Bornean crested fireback. In the tangled heart of Borneo's rainforest, where every leaf hums with life and every shadow holds a secret, a flash of blue and gold stirs the forest floor. Silent at first, then suddenly, unmistakably alive. This is the Bornean crested fireback, a bird not just born of the jungle, but burning within it. It doesn't creep. It glides, bold, electric, untamed. The male moves like a myth, his body drenched in blue-black sheen, his back glowing gold like sunlight caught in oil. His tail arcs high in twin strokes of white, and on his head, a wild, ragged crest that rises like flames from his crown. His face is bare and ghostly blue, his legs painted red as rainforest soil in flood season. Everything about him says, I don't just belong here. I define this place. He walks with confidence, but never arrogance. He knows the rhythm of the forest, knows when to pause, when to scratch through the leaves, when to vanish into green. The female is quieter in color, rich browns and faint speckles, but her gaze is just as alert. She is the one who vanishes first, and he follows. They move together through dense undergrowth and shafts of light, feeding on fallen fruits, insects, seeds, termites, whatever life stirs beneath the leaves. But when alarmed, they do not hesitate. They erupt. Wings thunder against air. The forest splits with sound. The fireback launches in a sudden, explosive burst. A blur of feathers and color gone as quickly as it came. And here's the paradox. For a bird so dazzling, so unmistakably brilliant, we barely know it, because its world is shrinking. The great rainforests of Borneo are falling, and with them, this living ember fades deeper into shadow. To see one in the wild is to witness a flicker of something sacred. Not just beautiful, but necessary. A reminder that the jungle doesn't just contain life. It creates it. Color, power, fire, feathers that burn against the green and then disappear. This bird is not noise. It is rhythm. It is the beat beneath the canopy, the fire-backed heartbeat of Borneo. And now, we leave the thundering jungle for the hush of cloud forest, where another rare voice rises at dawn, lonely, soft, and nearly forgotten. Number 10, the Hainan Hill Partridge. In the highlands of Hainan Island, where mist hangs low and trees grow old in silence, a small bird moves through the undergrowth with the grace of something almost forgotten. This is the Hainan Hill Partridge, a creature more often heard than seen, a whisper of wings, a single call lost in the morning fog. It is found nowhere else on Earth. Endemic to the last patches of evergreen forest that cling to the slopes of southern China, this bird lives in the shade, not just of trees, but of time. It doesn't seek attention. It doesn't need it. Its plumage is soft gray and brown, flecked with black barring that mimics the forest floor. Its size, modest. Its steps, measured. It is a bird of restraint, of knowing how to remain unseen, how to live in the quiet spaces where light filters down like breath through leaves. The Hainan Hill Partridge rarely flies. It runs, slips, weaves, vanishing into thickets with barely a sound, and yet its call, a clear, rising whistle, cuts through the forest like a thread of memory. At dawn, when the fog drips from branches and the world hasn't woken fully, you might hear it. A song that sounds both new and impossibly old. These birds move in pairs or small families, foraging for seeds, tender shoots, insects, the soft offerings of a generous forest. They bond for life. They raise their young together. They survive without spectacle, but their world is vanishing. Logging, farming, and development press harder each year, and now fewer than 1,000 may remain. To see one is rare. To hear one is rarer still. And yet, knowing they exist, knowing they sing, matters, because not all beauty blazes. Some of it hides, quiet and breathing in the last wild corners of the world. And now we leave the mists of Henan and rise into the snow, to a place of wind and stone, where a different kind of bird waits, bolder, louder, and utterly built for the mountain. Number 9, the Tibetan snowcock. Where trees no longer grow and the sky feels close enough to touch, a bird walks across the stone like it was born from the mountain itself. This is the Tibetan snowcock, not a symbol of fragility, but of force, presence, endurance. It lives above the tree line, in the frozen realms of Tibet, Ladakh, Nepal, Western China, as high as 5,000 meters. A place where wind cuts like glass and silence is broken only by the crunch of snow beneath steady feet. Its body is thick, low, powerful, clad in grays and whites that mirror the stone and snow, with bold black striping along its flanks and a rusty patch at the neck. Just enough color to remind you it's still alive in this pale world. It doesn't hide, it blends, not to vanish, but to wait. The snowcock moves in groups, tight little flocks pacing the ridges, heads upright, eyes scanning. Because here, danger doesn't swoop from the sky. It stalks, on 4 paws, in silence. The snow leopard is their greatest threat, and when it comes, there's no panic, only power. In a single breath, the flock bursts, a thunderclap of wings rising off the stone. The sound echoes through valleys like an avalanche beginning. Not chaos, strategy. They don't fly far, just far enough. They land, regroup, watch again. Tibetan snowcocks feed on the hard things. Frostbitten mosses, dry roots, alpine leaves. They dig with precision. They raise their young in the open, on bare rock. No nest, no canopy. Just wind, vigilance, and unbreakable rhythm. Here, survival is muscle memory. Breathing is work. Rest is risk. And yet they thrive. They endure blizzards, outweight leopards, outlast storms. To see them in the wild is to witness resilience with feathers and fire in its lungs. Not loud, not pretty, but true. This is what life looks like when there are no easy days, just wind, stone, and will. And now, from this world of gray and frost, we dive back into color. Up in these same mountains, a bird waits, drenched in light, shimmering like the sun rising from the earth. Number 8, Himalaya monal. As the sun breaks over the Himalayas, casting gold across snow and stone, something moves. Not with sound, but with color. A flash of emerald, a ripple of violet, a shimmer of fire trapped in feathers. This is the Himalayan monal, a bird that doesn't sing the dawn awake. It reflects it. Known also as the damphi, this bird is more than Nepal's national symbol. It is a living jewel of the highlands, a creature sculpted by cold, lifted by light, and made to be seen at the edge of sky. It lives between forest and alpine meadow, ranging from Pakistan and India to Bhutan and Tibet. It climbs to 4,500 meters, where air thins and the earth freezes. And still, it dances through snow, scratching for roots and seeds beneath the frost. The male is impossible to describe. Each feather catches light differently. An emerald head, a copper back, sapphire belly, wings brushed with amethyst. He turns and becomes a different bird in a different moment. No still photo can hold him. No frame can contain that shine. And yet, despite the brilliance, he is not flaunting. He is searching. In spring, he bows, he circles, he puffs his feathers just enough, not to boast, but to offer. Because here, color is not a challenge, it's a language. The female, in contrast, wears earth tones: brown, tawny, moss gray. perfect camouflage for a ground nest tucked near stone. She is watchful, quiet, alert. She is the one who chooses. He glows, she guards, and together they survive. They are mountain birds in every sense, built for slopes, silence, and sudden weather. They are shy, they are swift, and though their populations remain steady in much of their range, they are always one step away from threat. Poaching, habitat loss, human noise. But for now, they remain. A blaze of color against white rock. A reminder that even the harshest places on Earth still make space for wonder. And now, from rainbow to granite, we follow the ridge higher still to meet a sentinel of stone and snow. Silent, loyal, carved from the same peaks it protects. Number 7, the Himalayan snowcock. If the mountains had a voice, it would not sing. It would stand, still, cold, unshaken. And in that silence, a shape appears on the ridge. Stone gray, thick-necked, unmoving. This is the Himalayan snowcock. A bird that doesn't flutter. It holds, high above the tree line, where air grows thin and the world becomes wind and rock. This bird thrives, not as a visitor, as a resident. From the ranges of Pakistan to Nepal, it lives above 4,500 meters, where frost outlives flowers, and flight is less common than resolve. Its body is large, dense, enduring, built like a boulder with feathers. Gray and white plumage striped with dark bands, rusty flanks, and a face framed in stark lines. It doesn't blend into the mountain. It is the mountain. Most of the time it walks, carefully, steadily, scraping snow aside with thick claws to uncover grasses, buds, seeds. It forages close to the ground, but its eyes are always high, watching the slopes. It lives in flocks, tight-knit groups with strong bonds. If one senses danger, a whistle cuts the air, sharp and sudden, and in an instant, the entire flock disappears behind stone. But sometimes, it flies, and when it does, there is no elegance, only force. The snowcock bursts from rock with a thunderclap of wings, rising fast and straight, its call echoing like a trumpet across the peaks. You hear it before you see it. You feel it before it lands. It does not live where life is easy. It does not want to. Its fortress is elevation. Its armor is cold. Its silence is authority. The Himalayan snowcock asks for nothing, and it answers to no one. It is the stillness between avalanches, the strength beneath the snow. And now, we leave stone for color. Descending into the rhododendron forests of eastern Tibet, where a different bird moves with fire and grace, elegant, elusive, and centuries old. Number 6, Mrs. Hume's pheasant. In the deep forests of northeastern India and Myanmar, where light filters slowly through mist and bamboo rustles with secrets, a shape moves in silence. Not many see it, fewer still recognize it. But for those who do, the encounter is unforgettable. This is Mrs. Hume's pheasant, a bird not known for spectacle, but for subtle majesty. It walks the forest floor like a shadow wrapped in silk, each step deliberate, each pause a whisper in the underbrush. The male is a vision of contrasts, a sleek body cloaked in dark, iridescent plumage that glows with hints of green, violet, and midnight blue. On his head, a white crest rises like a snowdrift, quiet, regal, unmistakable. His tail is long, graceful, trailing behind him like an afterthought of wind. The female, by comparison, wears earth tones, warm browns, dusky patterns, vanishing into the undergrowth as if she were part of it. They live low, foraging among roots and fallen leaves for seeds, berries, and insects. Their world is narrow, shaded, woven with vines, and they know it like a second skin. They are shy, cautious, quick to vanish at the crack of a twig. But if you wait, if you breathe with the forest, they may reveal themselves. Their voice is not loud, just a thin, rising whistle carried by the mist. Faint, ethereal. as if the forest itself was humming in its sleep. But what threatens them is no longer predator or storm. It is the slow, constant loss of home, the cutting of trees, the clearing of understory, the silence that follows machines, and yet they endure, not loudly, not defiantly, but steadily, as long as the forest gives them space. To see a Mrs. Hume's pheasant is not just to spot a rare bird, it is to be reminded. Not all beauty demands to be seen. Some of it waits, hidden in shadow, waiting only for peace. And now, we step from the stillness of the forest into dappled sunlight and shifting scrub, where a flash of movement and a sudden call announce a bird both bolder and closer to the ground. Number 5. The white-cheeked partridge. In the low hills and patchy woodlands of Southeast Asia, where the forest thins into thorny scrub and sunlit grass, a shape darts through the underbrush. Fast, quiet, gone. This is the white-cheeked partridge. A bird rarely noticed until it moves, and then it's already vanished. It lives in Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia, choosing places with dense ground cover, the kind of habitat where a quick foot matters more than a strong wing. It is small, compact, beautiful if you can catch a glimpse. Its cheeks flash white against a dark crown, a signal as much as a shield, meant to startle, to communicate, to hold its own in the tangle. Its body is rich chestnut, marked with fine patterns, each feather like dry leaf litter, each step calculated. It forages low, scratching at the earth for seeds, fruit, insects, whatever the land offers, always moving, always listening. It rarely flies, but when it does, it bursts upward with a blur of wings and vanishes behind thickets. The white-cheeked partridge lives in families. Not flocks. Families. Pairs raise their young together, teaching them where to hide, when to run, how to disappear. And yet, despite their skill, their world is shrinking. As forests are cleared and hunted grounds expand, this little runner finds fewer places to run. But it remains, because speed isn't the only kind of power, and small isn't the opposite of strong. It survives with sharp eyes, quick feet, and quiet courage. It thrives where others wouldn't try, and in every rustle of dry grass, every flicker at the forest's edge, you might just be seeing one. Or rather, you were. And now we leave the thickets behind and climb toward a different world, where feathers are snow-white, the air is thin, and the next bird walks like a monarch across the clouds. Number 4. The white pheasant. Not all beauty is loud, not all legends wear color. Some simply appear, like a snowfall in the forest. This is the white pheasant, a bird so rare, so quiet, that seeing one feels like witnessing a breath from another world. Its feathers are not silver or gold, but white. Utterly, impossibly white. No streaks, no speckles, just soft plumage that catches the morning light like mist on silk. It moves through the forest like a secret, not flying, not running, gliding, with the grace of something that doesn't need to prove it belongs. Native to remote corners of East Asia, the white pheasant prefers stillness. It walks beneath tall trees, foraging slowly among roots and fallen fruit. Its diet is humble, berries, seeds, insects, its life unseen. Where others dazzle, it calms. Where others call, it listens. It doesn't need color to command attention, only presence. And in local lore, it is more than a bird. It is a symbol of purity, of renewal, of peace. Some say it brings luck. Others believe it carries messages from the spirit world. But even spirits need shelter. And as the forests thin, so too does the white pheasant's future. It is not loud enough to protest. It simply steps deeper into shadow and disappears. To witness it is to be reminded some of the rarest things in this world speak softly and vanish quietly. And now, from snow-white stillness to brilliant sound and bursting color, we travel next to a land of song, where feathers shine like ink and melody fills the trees. Number 3, Tui. In the forests of New Zealand, where ancient trees hum with wind and light, a sound rises. Clear, layered, unexpected. It isn't just birdsong. It's a performance. This is the tui, a bird that doesn't just sing. It composes, it remixes, it improvises. Its voice is a mosaic of clicks, trills, gurgles, flutes, static, and stolen phrases. It can mimic anything. Other birds, human speech, even the beep of a car alarm. Every forest it lives in becomes its stage. Every call is a new arrangement. But the sound is only half the show. The tui wears iridescence like a second skin. Blue, green, purple, shifting in sunlight like oil on water. Its most iconic feature, a pair of white throat tufts, like a bow tie for a black tie concert in the canopy. And the way it moves, swooping from flower to flower, wings buzzing like a drone, dripping with nectar, scattering pollen, is nothing short of choreography. Tui are essential pollinators. Kohai, flax, pohutukawa. The island's iconic blooms depend on their visits, but when breeding season comes, the forest turns electric. Male tui don't just sing. They battle, layering notes, challenging rivals, crafting songs designed not only to impress, but to outshine. It's not a fight, it's a freestyle, and the loudest, cleverest, most original voice wins the mate. In Maori tradition, the tui is more than a bird. It is a guardian, a messenger, a spark of life in the forest's soul. To hear one is to know you're not alone in the woods. To see one is to witness confidence with feathers. The tui is wild, sharp, unpredictable, a song that never sings the same way twice. And now, from musical rainforests to the enchanted groves of Sri Lanka, we meet a bird whose feathers shimmer like sapphire, and whose silence is just as striking as its color. Number 2, Sri Lanka blue magpie. In the heart of Sri Lanka's rainforest, where the light barely touches the floor and vines twist like stories in the shadows, a flash of blue breaks the green. It isn't subtle. It isn't shy. It is the Sri Lanka blue magpie. This bird doesn't blend in. It beams. With feathers like polished sapphire, a black velvet mask across its face, and a long fluttering tail that trails behind like a silk ribbon, the blue magpie moves through the forest like royalty on the run. It's endemic to the island, meaning you won't find it anywhere else. Only here, in the Southwest's last wild sanctuaries, where mist clings to moss and time slows beneath the canopy. But this bird isn't just a beauty. It's a brain. Blue magpies are clever, curious, and social to the core. They live in tight-knit family groups, hopping from branch to branch, playing, calling, warning, teasing, always in motion. Their voices are sharp and varied. A mix of chattering calls, whistles, and rasping cries, like a lively debate echoing through the trees. They forage together, too, picking fruits, snatching insects, even stealing eggs or nestlings when opportunity knocks. They are bold, they are efficient, and they are not above mischief. But for all their brightness, their world is dimming. As forests are cleared and fragmented, the magpie's range shrinks. They can't live in cities. They won't settle for scraps. They need wildness. They need shade and silence and trees that remember rain. To protect them is to protect more than a species. It's to preserve a living color, one that sings, plays, flutters, and reminds us that joy can be feathered. And now, from the emerald shadows of the forest to the sparkling blue of still waters, we dive into the world of a bird that doesn't fly through the trees, but dives through reflections. Number 1, blue-eared kingfisher. In the quiet bends of tropical streams, where sunlight dances on slow water, a spark of blue streaks through the green. You might miss it, but if you don't, you'll never forget it. This is the blue-eared kingfisher, a bird no larger than a sparrow, but with the presence of something far greater. Its plumage glows electric, a deep iridescent blue on its back, flashing like polished sapphire. Its chest, vivid orange, like the final light of sunset. And beside its eye, a patch of brilliant cobalt, the blue ear that gives it its name. It doesn't sing. It doesn't show off. It waits. Perched motionless above the water, this kingfisher watches with absolute focus. It's a hunter, a specialist. Then, without warning, it dives. A clean strike, a burst of bubbles. Then back to its perch, a silver fish pinned in its beak. Every movement is exact, every decision honed by instinct. This bird lives in the shaded edges of tropical Asia, from the wetlands of India to the rainforests of Borneo and Java. It needs silence, it needs clarity, it needs streams that still remember what wild feels like. But those waters are vanishing, cleared for farms, polluted, paved over, and with them vanish birds like this. Tiny, perfect, irreplaceable. To see a blue-eared kingfisher is to be reminded. Some of nature's greatest wonders don't roar. They whisper. They shimmer quietly just above the surface, and disappear the moment we stop paying attention. We've traveled far, through misty mountains, golden grasslands, rain-soaked forests, and snowbound peaks. We've seen wings that shimmer like flame, eyes that watch from the shadows, songs that echo through time. Each bird, not just a creature of beauty, but a story of survival, a breath of the wild, a spark of something ancient. But these stories are fading. Their forests are falling, their skies are shrinking, and the silence is growing. But here's the truth. We can change the ending. When we protect their homes, we protect something greater than feathers. We protect the future, ours and theirs. So, if this journey moved you, don't let it stop here. Like the video, share it with someone who needs a little wonder. Subscribe to Wild Wings to keep exploring what's worth protecting. Because beauty isn't just meant to be seen, it's meant to be defended. Let's keep the skies full of wings. Let's keep the wild alive. And above all, let's never stop looking up.